The history begins with the narration explaining that the dungeons are portals that open themselves from nothing. Inside these portals exist countless dangerous monsters that threaten the whole world, but also are a battlefield for the hunters that fight against these creatures. Already have passed 10 years since this began, and the hunters evolved to adapt themselves. With the time, the society got used to them, but the conflict still scared everyone. To become a hunter only existed one way, that was to be chosen by a tower mysterious. All the future heroes are summoned to the tower even before awakening their abilities. The more experienced say that it is necessary to climb the highest possible to achieve great power. However, more than 80% of the people do not manage even to pass the tutorial. The rank of someone is defined by the floor that he manages to reach in this place so dangerous. So in this moment we see a hunter mysterious that is about to face the 60th floor. Thus we meet our protagonist, and he already is exhausted and injured but continues on his feet and determined. Suddenly the scene changes to outside of the tower, and there is a boy that is looking at his cell phone completely shocked. On the screen he is seeing the broadcast of the hunter rank S Kim Han-sung and asks himself how this can be fair. The reason for the surprise is that this hunter is one of the few who managed to reach the 61st floor. With a look determined, he thinks of his parents while he remembers the tragic end they had. Following that, he remembers his friends that also are gone and smiles with an expression of pain. The young man believes that if he could go to the tower, his life of suffering could finally change. But he returns to reality suddenly upon taking a strong slap on the head that leaves him very dizzy. A guy with his friends fights with him and tells him to stop looking at the cell phone all the time. He calls him an idiot and continues to push his head with his finger in a way aggressive. Thus he warns the our boy to work right, if not want to be fired and thrown to outside of the group. One of the colleagues apologizes for the rudeness, but our boy just smiles and says that there is no problem. However, as soon as the boy himself turns, the our boy closes the face and clenches the fist with anger. Then the group gets up and prepares itself to enter a dungeon, and the bully seems confident. Thus they begin to walk through the forest, and our boy has to carry a backpack very heavy. He keeps asking himself why they send him to go in front and thinks if they will use him as a human shield. Then in this moment, that same colleague that defended him before gives a smile very strange and scary to him. Thus the our boy feels a little relieved for having that guy on his team, but something is about to happen. In this moment he is kicked hard from the back and falls on the ground without understanding what happened. But when our boy fell on the ground, the impact makes a small sphere roll to far from him. When he gets up, he gets furious, then asks the group what they think they are doing. In this moment the traitors activate a barrier of mana so that he cannot escape. The guy who kicked him starts to record everything and says that it has been a while since they had a fighting ring. Then the guy announces the fight between the carrier of hair orange and a monster that approaches. Soon after, a pack of dogs monstrous of 1 star appears growling at the boy. Then the traitor asks for the people to bet and make donations to help their channel. Thus in this moment the our boy finally realizes that he was deceived and that everything was a trap to earn money. It happens that a fighting ring is when someone is trapped with a monster to fight until the death. In this way the our boy in thought says that this practice is illegal and that even if he wins they will not let him leave alive. Trembling with anger, he remembers the high payment and understands that it was too good to be true. One of the dogs, demonic, steps hard on the ground and prepares itself for the attack along with the pack. Then the creatures advance all together in the direction of the boy that is cornered. Without many options, he draws a small dagger to try to defend himself from the attack of the creatures. But during the attack, one of the beasts manages to scratch his arm, leaving a wound serious. He gets terrified and asks himself how he could fight against all those monsters alone. With this, one of the creatures jumps in his direction and leaves him cornered against the barrier. Meanwhile, the traitors continue recording and encourage the our boy because they are betting on him. With a monster over him, one of the guys yells at him, telling him not to stand still like an idiot. In this moment, the bully asks if he will become monster food in the same way as his family. Upon hearing this, the our boy gets furious and clenches his teeth with much force and hatred. Then he faces the traitors and says that all of them will pay for what they did today. But the group just laughs and keeps mocking the our boy, and this group keeps saying that in truth it is he who will die in this place. Ignoring the provocation, the young man takes a small object that was hidden in his clothing. Then he activates the item and a wave of energy spreads, leaving all the traitors confused. The dogs monstrous are attracted by the noise of the object and begin to get very agitated. The leader of the group despairs and yells for the our boy to stop with that immediately. But the our boy brings the whistle to his mouth while the extra tells him to drop that and fight. Seeing that he was not going to stop, one of these traitors advances to try to take the object from his hand. However, before he gets close, one of the beasts jumps and bites with force the arm of this boy. In this moment, the guy gets in panic upon seeing the entire pack of dogs monstrous surrounding him. It doesn't take long, the other two also are surrounded and realize that they have no chance against so many monsters. With a smile victorious, the our boy shows the whistle and repeats that they will die today. Thus he faces the pack with a look firm while the dogs bark, waiting for his command. However, one of the monsters turns and advances against the boy, showing that he is not safe. The our boy manages to react in time and plunges his dagger into the creature that attacked him by surprise. But he has no time to recover because another dog bites his shoulder with force, injuring him. The scene shows the ground covered with marks of the battle bloody that just happened. Fallen on the ground and very injured, the our boy seems to have reached his limit. Then in this moment we see the bodies of the traitors scattered on the ground along with some dogs slain. However, the boy also is fallen and surrounded by the beasts that survived the confrontation. One of the creatures bites his leg while he no longer has strength to continue fighting. The young man thinks that he did everything to survive, but it seems that it was not enough. His vision begins to darken and he understands that that is his end. He feels resigned for having gotten his revenge before his life ended. Just when everything seemed lost, a light appears in the darkness and a message warns that the conditions were met. Then a trail brilliant involves him and a hand appears while another window informs him that he was summoned by the tower. This light guides him to the base of the tower and he finally gets his wish in the moment of his death. Not takes long, the our boy wakes up lying on a carpet red and realizes that is in a place unknown. With the eyes wide, he gets shocked with the situation and does not understand anything of what happened. Then he gets up in a jump and looks around completely scared with all that. In this moment the young man has a quick flashback of the fight bloody that led him to the brink of death. Then he looks at his body and realizes that he is alive, asking himself how this would be possible. Following that, a window of system appears and informs him that he was summoned by the Great Tower. Then he understands that he was revived inside the tower using some type of coin special. Inside the tower everyone receives coins that serve for many things. These coins are the only thing that can save the hunters from certain death in this place. One of them falls on the ground and an energy bluish involves a body, bringing it back to life. However, not all receive the same amount and one only discovers the value of them at the end of the tutorial. Then in this moment a screen appears and gives the welcome to the our boy for he finally arriving at the tower. Thus the system informs that he is on the first floor and the tutorial happens from the floors 1 to 5. And also says that his mission from now on is very simple and he needs only to clear the floors to go up. Then the our boy touches the screen and thinks that with the notifications everything seems much more real now. In this, the our boy thinks that he prepared himself a lot for this moment, studying everything about the tower. He also exercised himself a lot and now the chance perfect finally appeared for him. In this moment before him a portal opens itself and the young man knows that he needs to concentrate himself for the challenge. With this he gives a step forward, determined to not fail in his first mission. When he feels himself ready, says that he cannot let this opportunity escape through his fingers. Then the our boy is teleported to a forest that is the first floor of the tower. Not takes long, a goblin appears in his path and a mission tells him to defeat the creature. In this moment the our boy smiles and thinks that it is exactly like the information from the government and from the guild said, but the creature makes a gesture with the hand calling him to the fight with a smile. Strange. Our boy gets irritated with the audacity of the monster and clenches his teeth with much anger. Without losing time he steps hard on the ground and advances in the direction of the small creature green. Then the our boy draws his dagger and says that he will give to the monster a passage quick from this to a better place. With a jump he prepares himself to attack the goblin that seems scared with the blow. Then the our boy hits the creature squarely, causing a great impact on the small monster. After defeating the enemy, the our boy spins his dagger with skill and feels confident. Thus he immobilizes the monster on the ground and raises his dagger to give the final blow. With a movement quick, the our boy pierces the chest of the creature without any mercy. Not takes long and a window of the system warns that the goblin was defeated and the floor was completed. Then he soon gets up and thinks that this first fight was not so difficult like that. While cleaning his dagger he concludes that the battle was not at all complicated. But suddenly another goblin appears and attacks him from the back with a blow fatal. With the eyes wide, the our boy gets shocked and does not believe in what just happened. He falls on the ground and realizes that there was one more enemy that he had not noticed. The creature smiles in a way evil while holding the dagger that it used in the attack. While he is fallen and injured, the our boy remembers that the mission said that there was only one monster. With this, the our boy closes his eyes, frustrated for having been deceived once more. Then in this moment a coin golden then appears and a message warns that he was moved to a point safe. And when he blinks his eyes he returns to the beginning and understands that he was revived using one of his coins. Thus he gets up furious because the guide of the tutorial said there was only a single goblin. And with a smile suspicious he himself asks if this means something important. Then he realizes that the government and the guilds are spreading information false on purpose. The our boy does not know what their plan is but says that for now there is nothing that he can do. And with a look determined, the our boy decides that it is time to continue climbing the tower. Then after 3 hours waiting in the forest he asks himself why the monster has not appeared yet. Thus the our boy thinks that if he acts without care he will be caught in another ambush and needs to be cautious. Suddenly a noise in the bush leaves him on alert maximum, ready for anything. Then a goblin appears dancing and the our boy realizes that his target finally arrived. In this way he decides to follow the creature but does not realize that another monster observes him from afar. The small monster enters a construction enormous and the Our Boy continues following the creature in a way stealthy. Inside there he sees the two goblins together and recognizes the one that attacked him before. Thus Our Boy gets confused upon seeing the creatures looking at an object bluish and strange. Then he notes that it is a statue and remembers that there should not be items in the tutorial. In this he remembers the interview of the hunter Kim Han-sung talking about treasures hidden. And with a look firm the Our Boy prepares himself to fight and decides to see what that item is. But without thinking twice the Our Boy advances with his dagger in hands to attack the monsters. The goblin gets surprised and starts to scream to try to warn its tribe that there is an intruder in the place. Then with an attack surprise the adventurer lands a blow fatal on one of the monsters without hesitating. Thus the other goblin gets nervous and turns to see who is it that is attacking them but soon gets surprised. In this moment the monster that got him before gets in shock and does not understand how this happened so fast, but the boy raises his dagger and says that this is his revenge. Following that he finishes the creature with a blow quick and precise without giving chance of reaction. Thus a window warns that the two goblins were defeated and the first floor was concluded. And with the area safe the Our Boy approaches the mysterious object bluish in the center. Then he touches the statue and concludes that the monsters were protecting it for some reason. Upon taking the item it starts to shine intensely and emits an energy very strong. This energy involves the entire body of the Our Boy while he holds the statue with firmness. But suddenly the object starts to crack and breaks itself into several pieces small in his hand. Then a notification warns that he was the first to get the statue of Lunati's among all. In this way the young man discovers that he completed a mission secret called the Hand of Lunati's. And as a reward the system blesses him for starting his journey and grants him a new power. A great light descends from the skies with symbols magical him blessing with his new power. In this a window warns that he received the Power Star Observer Eye of rank S. The eye of the Our Boy shines and the system explains that now he can see information hidden. With the mouth open the boy gets in shock upon discovering that his new power is of rank S. He remembers that the highest classification known was of rank AAA of the famous hunter Kim Han-sung. The Our Boy then realizes that his new ability is even more strong and gets very excited. He asks himself how to use this power and reads again the description about information hidden. Then the young man tests the ability and a message confirms that there are no more rewards there. And with a smile the Our Boy thinks that with this he will be able to collect all the items secret of the tower. Then full of confidence the Our Boy decides that it is time to advance to the next floor of the tower. But as soon as he arrives on the second floor an arrow hits him by surprise getting him in his shoulder. And with the eyes wide the Our Boy cannot believe what just happened to him. But even injured he runs desperately to stay far from the figure that attacked him by surprise. And without thinking twice and continues as fast as he can to not be hit again. While is running with the arrow in the shoulder he shouts that the guilds and the government are some traitors. Then the Our young man irritated himself asks why the guide not mentioned that the kobolds could use weapons. And even knowing that the guide is all wrong he ended up trusting in the information again. With the hand on the shoulder injured he clenches his teeth and regrets having been so careless again. And before anything else the young man decides that he needs to take care first of the wound to be able to get to fight. Then he uses a potion of healing and the wound closes itself quickly leaving him more relieved. In this moment the Our Boy thinks that the monster will find him soon and forms a plan while touching something sticky. Scared he looks at his hand and sees a sap golden covering all his fingers. His ability Ocular is activated and informs him that that is sap of tree and that it hides odors. Then the Our Boy gets surprised and understands that his power seeks information based on what he needs. And with a new plan in mind he clenches his fist and feels himself ready for the hunt. In this moment the cobalt sniffs the air confused for not being able to find its prey. Then the creature looks up but does not notice the Our Boy hidden on the branch of the tree. Taking advantage of the distraction of the monster the Our Boy jumps from the tree for an attack surprise. The enemy canine gets shocked upon seeing the Our Boy falling in its direction from nothing. And with a blow accurate he hits the creature with his dagger finishing the fight quickly. And with a look furious the boy clenches his teeth and prepares himself for the final blow. Then with a movement quick he finishes the monster canine without any mercy. Then the system rewards him with 300 points and praises his tactic with the sap of tree. In this moment a new window appears and tells him to get the nail of the finger ring left of the cobalt. Then the Our Boy looks at the paw of the creature and sees the nail shining asking himself what he will win. And without hesitating the young man pulls out the nail of the monster and keeps it to use later. With everything he needs a portal opens itself and the system warns that the floor too is safe. Besides this he also is rewarded with food and water for his work hard on the floor. But while he eats he remembers that something important happens after clearing this phase. Thus a notification warns that as a reward he now can access the community online. In this moment a screen giant opens itself showing a forum with many messages from other hunters. Then he reads a user complaining that the guide lied about there being only one goblin. And with the eyes wide the Our Boy realizes that he was not the only one to be deceived. but the other users accuse him of lying and say that there was only a single monster. Then the Hour Boy gets confused with the reactions and sees that nobody believes the player who told the truth. Then the boy decides that he will try to say something in the community to test a theory. In this way he needs to create a nickname and chooses the name of Princess Inya for his profile. And with a fairy as avatar he sends a message cute to everyone in the tutorial. Then the Hour Boy posts a guide true about the first floor to call attention. Soon several players respond and confirm that they also faced more than one goblin. And with a smile satisfied he realizes that his plan worked and can even find allies. Then the Hour Boy decides that he needs to advance fast to continue posting tips. And with this he enters the portal and is teleported directly to the 3rd floor of the tower. There his mission is very clear and he needs only to pass through all the traps. Thus the Hour Boy gets with the eyes wide with fear upon discovering the new challenge. Suddenly jets of fire come out of the walls almost burning him alive in the corridor. And with the mouth open in fright he dodges by little and feels the heat of the flames. Following that several spears sharp are shot in his direction without notice previous. He throws himself on the ground and the spears pass scraping by him embedding themselves in the wall. Looking around the young man realizes that the corridor entire is full of traps deadly. Seated on the floor he remembers that the guide false told to open the arms to analyze everything. And with this the Hour Boy realizes that the tip was a lie to make the hunters lose their hands. But with a look determined his eye shines and he says that he will not be caught so easily. Then his ability Star Observer Eye is activated to deal with the danger ahead. The energy bluish of the power ocular analyzes the entire corridor in search of a path safe. In this moment symbols magical surround him and reveal the path safe through the corridor. And with a smile victorious a window warns that all the traps were located. But in this moment the Hour Boy starts to run through the corridor dodging from pendulums giant and blades flying. Upon passing through the portal the system warns that the floor is safe and rewards him with points. Exhausted on the ground he complains that the tutorial of the tower was made to be difficult too much. But he receives a lunchbox special that increases his recovery and leaves him surprised. While eating the boy thinks how the traps of that floor were very malicious. Then the Hour Boy remembers when a clock giant almost fell to crush him completely. But following that an explosion of fire appeared from nothing and almost burned the adventurer. He also dodged from knives and only survived because of his ability special. In this moment the Hour Boy looks at the food and sees that the yolk of the egg has the shape of a star. Suddenly a noise calls his attention and he stops eating to see what happened. Then a window of status appears and he remembers that now he can finally see his attributes. Thus he realizes that his attributes are normal but his mana is higher than the expected. With a smile evil he understands that his true talent is in the power magical. Then the Hour Boy gives one more bite in the food accepting his new potential with confidence. Determined he opens the community and sees the area residential of the floor 30 as an objective. Leaving this place we go to a city big and modern full of buildings tall and illuminated. Meanwhile in another place we see a cigarette lit releasing smoke slowly. This is Choi Sangmo, a rookie of the guild Tiger Lord that worries himself with his money. Then this person remembers that the chief of the guild tried to end him for knowing too much. And with much anger the man of scars hits the hand on the table and laments himself frustrated. Suddenly a subordinate enters running and asks if he saw the post in the community. The guy goes right away warning that a user mysterious is causing problems in the channel of the tutorial. Irritated the veteran asks to see what is happening because he already has much work. Then he starts to read the guide of Princess Inya about how to pass the 3rd floor. As soon as he sees the post debunking the guide false the expression of the hunter starts to change. His eyes shine with fury upon reading the post calling the guilds of evil. With a punch explosive the man breaks the table and leaves his helper terrified. Seeing this happen the little guy gets with much fear and stutters without knowing what to say about the fury of the boss. Then the leader orders that all his men find the responsible behind the post. In this way the subordinate leaves running from the room to fulfill the order while the chief observes him go. Thus the hunter of scars boils with anger thinking that he can lose his head for this problem. With the eyes full of hatred he swears that he will find and finish with whoever posted that. Returning to the inside of the tower the Hour Boy feels that someone is talking about him and an announcement appears. And the system congratulates him for helping others and awards him with the title of strategist. Then the Hour Boy spits his drink shocked upon discovering that the title evolves with his strategies. He gets amazed because titles are rare and essential for the best hunters. Very happy for having written the guide he decides to check the comments of the other players. Then the Hour Boy sees many comments positive from people that almost died on the 3rd floor. With a smile satisfied he believes that the answers positive are because of his posts. Then the Hour Boy imagines how are the players and thinks about joining them in the future. But his face changes upon seeing a comment negative from a member of the guild Tiger Lord. Then he sees more users from the same guild calling his post of information false and useless. Thus the Hour Boy asks himself if they are with fear of being caught spreading lies. With a smile evil he decides that he will expose all their scams without mercy. Meanwhile the ashtray of the chief of the guild overflows and he swears that he will hunt him. The hour boy gets quite excited only and the leader of the guild is quite irritated, but the hour boy promises to get stronger than him. Back to the third floor, his eye finds a passage secret called Well of Hell. The floor breaks itself and he screams in fright while falling into a hole full of fire. After the fall he finds several items like a gem arcane and a spring of device, and he also gets a scroll of flames and a stone to illuminate the next floor. With the items in the backpack he arrives on the fourth floor and starts to climb a cliff enormous. On the top of the mountain the system warns him to pull out a tree blue and win something good. With a smile wide on his face he celebrates for having found one more secret. Then he laughs hysterically while the system congratulates him and he curses the guild's lying. Exhausted he complains that the guide false did not warn that the weight of the items increased while he climbed the cliff. Suddenly some items fall from his bag and one of them rolls on the floor calling his attention. The gem arcane shines and reveals the name John Trailer written on its surface. The hour boy gets confused and asks himself why the hell there is a name written on the stone of mana. Then he takes the item and reads the name in voice loud trying to understand what that means. Soon the system explains that John Trailer was a sage that created homunculi to climb the tower. Then he keeps questioning himself about the record of the floor 64 and the mysterious John Trailer. In this he looks at the tower and thinks that it perhaps is more old than everyone imagines. Then scratching the head the hour boy reflects on all the mysteries that he just discovered there. Then he decides that to think is no use and starts to pack his backpack to leave soon. With this he resolves that he will discover more secrets while advancing through the next floors. Full of determination he faces the portal of the last floor of the tutorial ready to win. Upon entering the fifth floor his mission is to defeat a boss and find boxes of ability. In this moment the system rewards him in advance for his effort and releases his window of skills. With a smile the young man thinks that it will be easy because with abilities everyone stays on the same level. But the system checks his attributes and notes the equipment and power of rank S that he possesses. Then he gets shocked because discovers that the boss will be based on his level and the difficulty rises. Suddenly an enormous warrior merman of 3 stars is summoned in front of him. Thus he gets quite terrified and shouts desperately without knowing how to fight against that. In this moment the screen of the system describes the creature half human and half fish with scales blue and a trident. With a face full of dread he screams without believing that he needs to fight against a monster of 3 stars. In this moment the creature roars furiously and advances with everything in the direction of our boy. The monster attacks with its trident but the our boy dodges by little falling on the ground scared. Following that the monster brings down a punch with much force but the our boy ducks to not be hit. Panting the our boy asks himself if this monster is really a version weaker because it is very strong. Without giving time to breathe the aberration advances again on top of our boy with much anger. Thus the our boy realizes that he cannot fight in this way and decides that he needs to find the abilities. In this the system warns that all the boxes of ability of that floor were located. Then the our boy sees that there exist 2 boxes of rank low and 2 of rank very low nearby. He also realizes that the box of rank medium is very far and decides to get the ones closer. With a plan in mind he runs to the 2 boxes of rank low hoping for something useful. Then the our boy extends the hand in direction to the items and shouts for them to open themselves immediately. Meanwhile the warrior fish turns itself without understanding from where came all that smoke. The our boy smiles because the ability smoke of rank F is perfect to hide oneself from the enemy. Not takes long and the warrior fish roars with anger and the our boy takes the chance to run from there. With the new ability run he complains that the smoke from before disappears too fast. Without time to lose he advances in direction to the next box of ability. In this way he manages to reach his objective and breathes relieved for a brief moment. But the monster jumps very high and prepares itself to crush the young man with its trident. The weapon of the creature hits the ground with a force brutal and opens a large crater. But in this moment the our boy is caught by the monster giant that looks at him with anger. Scared with the speed of the monster he realizes that he needs to be faster. Then he draws his dagger and prepares himself to attack the creature by surprise. And with a cry of war the our boy throws his blade at the enemy using all his strength. Then the warrior fish roars with pain and fury while it turns to face the adventurer. The creature spins with violence and attacks the young man with a blow that destroys the ground. In this the boy is thrown too far by the impact and hits with force on the soil. Fallen and unarmed the our boy faces the monster that approaches slowly him. Then the enemy raises its trident and prepares itself to give the final blow on the boy. The system then warns that the box of ability of rank medium was opened with success. And with a smile victorious the our boy thanks the creature for having thrown him near the item. In this way he gets very happy upon getting the bomb of fire and ability of attack rank B. However, the monster with anger just kicks him with all its force, and the only thing that the young man does is just defend himself. But in this way the young man is thrown too far and only stops when he hits a mountain. The kick of the monster was so strong and violent that it made the adventurer open a hole in this mountain. Hidden there inside, the our boy complains that the enemy does not give him time to celebrate. The creature roars and runs to the cave, but the our boy activates an item blue bright. Suddenly a jet of liquid blue shoots from the item and hits the leg of the monster. In this way the warrior fish gets confused because it feels its leg trapped and cannot move itself. Then the our boy smiles and asks if it hurts while he traps the foot of the creature with his new weapon. The aberration lets out a scream sharp of pain, feeling the attack in its body enormous. Unbalanced, the enemy tries to attack but barely manages to keep itself on its feet at the moment. And with a look evil, the our boy warns that that was just the beginning of his plan. Following that, he launches his bomb of fire that explodes and swallows the monster completely. The flame explodes intensely while the fire of the ability consumes everything around. The warrior fish falls to its knees with a hole in the chest and its trident on the ground. Then the our boy approaches and complains about the smell of fish burnt in the air. And with the hand in flames, he says that fire is the best way to deal with a fish out of water. Following that, the boy launches another bomb of fire and says goodbye to the monster with a smile. And with the enemy in flames, the system him congratulates for defeating an opponent unbeatable. In this way he wins 1,500 points and falls on the ground exhausted, but gets happy for having won. The young man celebrates with the arms up, shouting that he does not believe that he managed to win. Then the system warns that it will calculate his reward for passing the 5th floor. Suddenly a light strong in shape of a star appears in the sky and calls his attention. The light gets each time more strong and dazzles the vision of the our boy with its shine intense. Then he covers the face with the hand to protect himself from the brightness that comes from above. Something then falls from the sky and hits the our boy right in the middle of his face. Then the our boy holds the object strange and slimy without understanding what the hell is that. Shocked, he realizes that he is holding a frog giant that stares back at him. In this moment the system announces that the reward is an animal of estimation, and our boy complains, what type of prize is this? The frog jumps on the ground and the our boy observes it without understanding right what is happening. In this, a screen explains that it is a frog of chaos and that currently it is stronger than the owner. Then he shouts shocked and points to the creature without believing that it is stronger than him. While the critter yawns, the system warns that animals can attack owners weaker. Terrified, the our boy asks himself if the frog can bite him and confirms that he is the weaker one. Then the new pet then spits a goo purple that flies quickly in direction to the ground. Thus the liquid hits a rock that was there near and starts to bubble in a way strange. With a hiss scary, the rock melts completely and turns into a puddle purple on the ground. Looking at the scene, the our boy concludes that that little critter is really stronger than him. He says that he is still the owner and that they do not need to stay together while he gets something from the bag. And with the trident of the monster in hands, he says goodbye and wishes a good life for the frog there. Then the our boy turns to go away, but the amphibian stays still, just observing him. The creature of estimation tilts its head to the side, seeming confused with the situation. Sweating cold, the young man worries and asks himself if the critter will spit on him also. Suddenly the little frog jumps on the shoulder of the boy, who gets surprised with the action unexpected. With a smile, convinced, the our boy understands that the small amphibian chose him. Then he proposes an agreement of respect, mutual, and a partnership for the new companion. And with this, both are enveloped by a light blue, and the system them congratulates for passing the tutorial. Following that, the restrictions are removed and a message asks for him to follow the guide of instructions. Upon arriving on the 6th floor, he sees himself in a city full of people and celebrates for having succeeded. It doesn't take long before the system details that the 6th floor is a safe zone where wounds heal and killing is forbidden. With that, a guide is provided to him while he observes the city full of people. Shocked by the number of people, he wonders if everyone went through the same tutorial as he did. Suddenly, the small amphibian on his shoulder starts shaking its head in denial. Then our boy remembers the little creature of the pact, asks for respect, and calls it an arrogant frog. Next, our boy says he can't keep calling the pet little frog, and decides to give it a name. Thoughtful, he concludes that he needs a good name for a creature of chaos stronger than him. The little animal's eyes shine with joy upon hearing that its master has the perfect name. Then he announces the name Deoction, and the creature's expression changes to pure despair. Now called Deoction, the little frog freaks out and thrashes around in protest against the name. While he thinks the pet loved the name, a strange man appears from behind and calls him. Then the newcomer asks if the adventurer just came out of the tutorial, and he confirms that yes. The man introduces himself as Kim Seong-hoon of the Blue Dragon Guild and offers him a white pill. At that moment, a screen appears and reveals that the pill has a modification spell that alters the tutorial memories. And with that, he begins to understand why people criticized him, since their memories had been altered. He remembers seeing messages from people who didn't clearly recall the difficult floors. With that, our boy grits his teeth in rage, realizing the truth behind everything. Thus he becomes furious and stares at the man, for he understands that the memories were changed on purpose. Then he keeps asking himself if that's why the guilds force people to take the item. The guild man confirms that he took the pill and offers it to our boy. With a sinister smile, he says the pill is necessary for the boy's recovery. Then our boy becomes nervous and asks if he really needs to take that item there in front of everyone. At his side, a man screams as he is forced to take the pill by a guild member. Another adventurer freaks out, saying he was deceived about the tutorial and needs a pill. Holding the object, our boy concludes that the government and the guilds are all big liars. The little Deoction on his shoulder seems to agree with his master's conclusion. Suddenly the little creature uses its tongue to snatch the pill from our boy's hand. Shocked, our boy yells while the little frog chews the pill without caring about anything. Then he lies to the man, saying he took the pill and introduces himself as Kim Young-sun. After getting rid of the guild member, our boy heads to the 6th floor's inn. In the room, the young man thanks Deoction for saving his life, and the system notifies him of a new skill. With a smile, he says that his pet is special for gaining a healing skill with the pill. At that, our boy remembers his companions from the chat and imagines they will soon arrive. And with his hand on his chin, the young adventurer becomes thoughtful about what to do next. Then he decides to write a post to warn the others about the pill in the 5th floor. Because at that moment, our boy is determined not to lose the few companions he has made so far. After finishing his post, he takes the guide he received earlier in the city. Then our boy places the book on his lap and asks for the guide to open before him. At that moment, a system window notifies him that the bronze rank shop has been unlocked for him there. Thus the book begins to shine, and a tip explains that he can buy items not available in the shop. With that, a roulette with several different pieces of equipment appears in front of our boy. Suddenly his eye begins to shine blue, and he becomes confused, not understanding the reason. His eye reacts to a yellow armor that looks like trash and doesn't even have a price. But even suspicious, he decides to trust the power that helped him get this far. Then, at that moment, the purchase is completed, and the system informs him that he spent 2,000 points on the item. Thus he becomes furious for spending 2,000 points on a rank E item and demands his money back. But the system notifies that no refunds are possible, and he wonders why his power reacted to that. Then a screen reveals that the armor once belonged to a challenger who reached floor 99. Thus he is shocked by the information about floor 99, and his eye begins to shine intensely. Then he remembers the arcane gem that belonged to a mage who reached floor 92. With that, our boy understands that the yellow armor is an incredible item from someone even stronger. Then, determined, he decides to look for the rest of the set of that armor with a confident smile. An hour later, he is discouraged on the ground for not having found anything but resigns himself with his sales. He shows his new items such as a long sword, a necklace that turns into a helmet, and some potions. With all this equipment, our boy finally feels like a true hunter there. Now he understands how to use the shop and prepares for the last thing missing for his awakening. The system congratulates him for completing the training and grants him 500 reward points. Next, a message notifies him that his long-awaited awakening will finally begin. Then our boy screams in pain as his body shines and his clothes begin to mark all over his body, showing his muscles. Suddenly, a great explosion of flames engulfs his body in an intense flash. The intense flame envelopes his body as his awakening reaches its climax. With that, a system window appears and announces that the process was successfully completed. At that moment, he looks at his hands and sees that his stats have increased impressively. Then the system notifies him that every new challenger deserves to receive a new special power. Suddenly, a strange blue light begins to come out from inside his travel backpack. At that, a screen reveals that all the hidden pieces he had came together in one place. All the items then begin to fuse into a single powerful orb of bluish light. The sphere of energy shines intensely and then bursts with a very strong flash of light. Then a golden box appears, and the system congratulates him for upgrading the item to the highest rank. He earns an achievement for obtaining the maximum rank power box and receives 5,000 points. Shocked, the young man wonders how he managed to get the very first maximum rank power box of all. With curiosity at its peak, he stretches his finger and touches the mysterious shining golden box. Thus, a system message informs him that he has acquired the rank S skill ability combination. The adventurer is completely ecstatic and cannot believe his incredible luck. He hugs Deoction and tells his pet that he just obtained a rank S power. At that moment, the system informs him that he is the first of all to obtain 2 powers and that he accomplished the impossible. Then our boy continues hugging his pet without fully understanding what those messages mean. Meanwhile, his little frog seems to be suspicious of a chaotic energy around them. At that, a secret mission called Creating a New Path is unlocked for the adventurer. Surprised, our boy stares at the screen, unable to believe that he just received a secret mission. At that moment, the system then explains that the rewards are based on challenges and begins to calculate his coins. Suddenly, a counter appears in front of him and shows that he possesses 3 life coins. The young man is shocked to discover that he still had 3 coins with him all along. But the counter starts spinning quickly, and the number 3 turns into just a red blur. Next, several system messages notify that his number of coins is increasing. But the counter doesn't stop spinning, and more screens appear repeating that his coins are going up. With lights growing more and more intense, the system keeps notifying about the increase in coins. Finally, the counter stops spinning and reveals that he now possesses infinite life coins. Then the system confirms the infinite coins and gives him a mission to climb the tower and its 100 floors. Sitting on the ground, our boy stares into nothing, shocked, and wonders if he really has infinite coins. With a shout of joy, the young man declares that he will reach the top and become the best rank S hunter in the world. However, his happiness disappears as he remembers that one can only leave the tower by running out of coins or clearing all the floors. Desperate, he screams that he will never be able to get out of that place again while his frog shakes its head. On the ground, he laments, for his only chance to leave is to clear all 100 floors. A tip says that time passes twice as fast in the tower, but the rank S took almost 2 years to reach floor 61. With that, he calculates that it will take at least 10 years and screams in despair while his pet watches him. Somewhere else, in the plaza of the 6th floor, some adventurers are stopped by guards. One of them complains about the delay, and a guard threatens him, saying he is messing with him. Suddenly, the dagger is thrown far away with a quick and precise movement. The weapon was stopped by a man whom the guard recognizes as the head of security, and his name is Ji-hyuk. With the situation resolved, the other adventurers feel relieved and decide to leave from there. The head of security seems irritated and complains about some little princess who gives him trouble. His expression shows that he is really fed up with this whole situation. One of his subordinates then responds and waits for his next orders. Angry, Ji-hyuk orders his men to bring the person who wrote the 4th report. Thus, the guards bring a young man with glasses who seems very confused with the whole situation. Without understanding, the young man asks what is happening there and why they called him. In an instant, the head of security attacks the man with glasses with a quick and brutal strike. Then the head of security attacks his subordinate with a violent kick that makes the glasses fly away. Fallen on the ground, the man screams in pain with his broken glasses now beside him. Angry, the man in black grabs the guard's hair and lifts his head from the ground. Then he brings his dagger close to the young man and asks if he has any idea of what he did. Ji-hyuk slams the young man's head on the ground while shouting that the guard didn't check the identities and let unknown people leave the plaza. He continues saying that one of those fugitives could have been the guy his guild was looking for. To make things worse, he adds that now they lost the target and don't know where he is. After releasing the man, the head of security wipes his hands and tells him to be thankful he is still alive. Then he orders all the portals of the 6th floor to be closed to find Kim Young-soo. The guards then run off to carry out the order, leaving the injured man behind. Somewhere else, our boy and his little frog yawn together, looking tired and sleepy. At the inn's restaurant, he says he feels better with a full belly and chats with Deokshin. He jokes with his pet about eating too much, but he stops joking when a man slams the table, complaining about the closed portals. Other adventurers complain that the big guilds can pass and blame Tiger Lord for it. Hearing the conversation, our boy is shocked to discover that all the portals were blocked. After leaving the restaurant, he decides to personally check the situation of the portals. With that, he climbs a tree to get a better view of everything that is happening. From above, he confirms that all the portals were indeed blocked by the security guards. Then our boy observes that this was already the 5th portal he checked and all were the same. So he clenches his fist and wonders if he can fight the guards, but feels insecure. Our boy remembers that he never fought against more than one person and doesn't know how to deal with that. Suddenly, a great explosion happens in the city, and he looks shocked in the direction of the blast. He becomes frightened by the noise and asks himself what it was that just happened. Nearby, a group of adventurers argues with the guards about the portal blockade. The head of security appears and threatens to punish anyone who causes trouble or doesn't cooperate. The guards greet him with respect, and he lights a cigarette with a very superior air. Seeing that the head of security is there, the adventurers decide to leave for now. Bored, the man yawns and angrily asks where that Kim Young-soo they are looking for is. A guard informs him that the 10th floor has already been warned to stop the suspect, who is the little princess. Then he orders the plaza to be closed and the identity of everyone there to be checked. The man in black sends a group on standby to come to him as soon as they see his signal. But suddenly, a great explosion happens and surprises him with the noise. Shocked by the scene, he wonders what just happened right in the middle of the city. In the surroundings of the 6th floor, the guards watch the smoke rising from the central plaza. One of them shouts that it was in the plaza and tells the others to run to warn Chief Ji-hyuk. The guard has a look of astonishment, not quite understanding what is going on. It turns out that the commotion was created by our boy, who uses his new running skill. He runs toward the portal and the shocked guards ask themselves who that guy is. Under the helmet, our boy gives a smile, for his distraction plan is working. While everyone looks toward the plaza, he takes the chance to try to escape through the portal. With a determined smile, our boy prepares to jump into the portal and finally escape from there. But just as he was about to enter, Ji-hyuk appears in front of him at the last second to stop him. The man in black then lands a brutal kick on our boy, hurling him far away with great force. Ji-hyuk appears amidst the dust and seems to cough a little because of the dust raised by the strike. Fallen on the ground, our boy holds his stomach in pain while his pet clings to him. With the dagger in his hand, Ji-hyuk says that the boy took advantage of the chaos to escape through the weakest portal. Then he says he had already expected our boy, and a mission appears to defeat the assassin Ji-hyuk. Our boy is shocked by the title of assassin, and his special eye begins to shine intensely. At that, the head of security leaps toward the young man to continue his brutal attack. Then the man in black lands another powerful kick right on our boy's head, though it hits the helmet. With the impact, our boy is hurled with force against a building, raising a lot of dust. Ji-hyuk says it would be a shame if he weren't Kim Young-soo or the little princess they are looking for. Next, he approaches our boy and says he needs to finish him off to discover his identity. As our boy starts getting up, he grits his teeth in pain and thinks that he still cannot die in this place while the man in black just keeps watching him. Then the system shows the details of the head of security Ji-hyuk, who is the master of kicks and a member of the Tiger Lord Guild. Then our boy understands why the kicks hurt so much because he has that title and was also the head of security. Thus the man tells our boy that he is probably the little princess, and if he kills him there will be no more posts or strategies, but it will be a shame if he is wrong. Ji-hyuk adds that, by the little princess's history, it is more likely that he is the target than anyone in the plaza. Then our boy realizes that the opponent is very clever because he always does everything to hide his identity. Thus our boy thinks the enemy is a madman who doesn't care about attacking the wrong person and decides to teach him a lesson about life. Suddenly the man in black launches a flare into the sky, leaving our boy surprised by the explosion of light. The security chief says his guild companions are coming and that he will hold him there, which irritates our boy. Then our boy complains that the flare costs 3,000 points and that it is much more expensive than his cheap armor. Angry, our boy activates his running skill and charges forward, shouting that the opponent must be very rich. The two opponents collide at high speed with a very loud metallic sound echoing throughout the place. Holding the sword with both hands, our boy uses all his strength to defend against the opponent's attack. Then the man in black uses his kick skill and lands a powerful blow right into our boy's body. With an expression of pure fury, the man in black looks at our boy and screams that he was done for. To the enemy's surprise, our boy manages to block the kick by crossing his arms just in time for the blow. Then our boy smiles and thinks that he already knows all the opponent's skills thanks to his special power. The head of security has an expression of hatred and surprise because he didn't expect an adventurer of his level to be able to block his attack. With a shove, our boy manages to push his opponent back, creating a small distance between them. Then the two exchange a series of quick and furious blows with their blades clashing. Our boy takes the chance and leaps to deliver a powerful downward strike. But the man in black manages to block the blow with a blue energy shield just in time. At that moment the system shows that the skill is a rank D shield, and our boy is surprised by the defense. The head of security smiles and says that silly attacks will not get through him and asks the adventurer what he will do now. With that, a reddish energy begins to form outside the shield. Thus our boy uses a rank B firebomb skill and creates a gigantic explosion. After casting that skill, our boy says that a rank D shield has no chance against his rank B skill. Amid the smoke, the head of security groans in pain after being hit by the powerful explosion. As the smoke lowers, our boy watches the security chief standing there feeling pain. And angrily Ji-hyuk says that the boy just came out of the tutorial and already thinks he's something special to defeat him, calling him arrogant. Then our boy notices that something about his enemy changed and stays on alert with his sword in hand. In the blink of an eye the security guard appears behind our boy at an impressive speed. The guard lands a devastating kick on the young man, who screams from the force of the brutal blow. With that, our boy is thrown backward and skids across the ground from the violence of the attack. Kneeling and feeling the pain, the young man realizes the damage was worse and wonders what the secret is. The system then reveals that the opponent uses a power brooch that doubles his stats for 10 minutes and gives him that appearance. In addition, he also has a weight bracelet that uses mana to alter the user's weight. Then our boy is outraged that the Tiger Lord Guild gave such good artifacts to a simple security guard. He realizes he needs to risk everything to win, and his little frog seems to agree with a croak. With a smile, our boy tells Deokshin that he believes in him, and the pet jumps inside his clothes. Then our boy faces the opponent and angrily shouts that he will finish him right now. In response, the guard uses his speed to circle the masked adventurer. Thus he attacks with great speed and hits our boy with many brutal blows from all sides. At that, the man in black advances, laughing like a madman and shouting for our boy to finally die. But at that moment the man in black's face changes and he looks surprised, because at that moment our boy managed to grab the enemy's leg at the last second, saying that he caught him. Ji-hyuk is shocked to see that our boy grabbed his leg, so he has to prepare for a counterattack. Suddenly our boy grabs his opponent tightly and hugs him, to everyone's surprise. Shocked, the security guard asks what the young man is doing and calls him crazy for that attitude. Then the Prota whispers that since he likes explosions he will give him one as a gift, and he prepares to use the firebomb. With that he activates the firebomb skill while still holding the opponent tightly. A huge explosion engulfs the two, creating a blaze of fire and heat throughout the place. Nearby the other guards see the smoke and shout for their chief, worried about the scene. Amid the rubble the wounded head of security screams that our boy is completely crazy for doing that. He asks if the young man wants them both to die, but our boy says that only he will fall to the ground feet first. In that, his pet Deokshin uses his healing ability and licks his master's face so he can recover. With a frightening smile the boy asks if they can continue from where they left off, but at that moment the security guard falls into despair. Then another great explosion happens and lights up the city with a very strong and intense light. The guild guards cannot get close because of the force of the new explosion that occurred there, and the only thing they can do is watch. And with the impact of the attack, the weight bracelet of the head of security falls to the ground after he is defeated. At that moment the system informs that he defeated Ji-hyuk and successfully completed the unexpected mission. The surviving guards look confused and wonder what the boy is doing now. The young adventurer picks up the bracelet and the brooch that had fallen from the security guard onto the ground. With a malicious smile he says that all the items are his now, while a guard shouts. The remaining guards then approach carefully while our boy simply ignores them. Thus he does not fight and enters a portal, escaping quickly to the 7th floor of the tower. Upon arriving on the 7th floor, the system notifies that this is a growth area and that his mission is to defeat 10 goblins. Sitting on the ground, our boy sighs in relief and comments that he almost really died in that intense fight. But he smiles, saying that the confrontation was worth it since he now possesses 3 artifacts with special effects. The system shows the details of the power brooch, the weight bracelet, and the necklace helmet that he obtained. Suddenly his little frog Deokshin croaks loudly, catching the young man's attention, leaving him a bit surprised. And our boy agrees that he wouldn't have managed without the help of his pet and remembers his healing power. With a smile, the adventurer thanks his companion and pets the little frog's head. Then the little creature makes a proud face and grumbles as if expecting something in return. Thus our boy understands the message and, with a smile, says he will give a reward to his loyal friend. Then he summons a special lunch full of meat that has the power to enhance recovery. He mentions that the dish costs 300 points, and his little frog drools with happiness over the food. Meanwhile, on the 6th floor, the security guard Ji-hyuk wakes up startled in his bed. He sighs in frustration as he remembers being humiliated and defeated by the rookie in the plaza. Angrily, he looks at the system screen and realizes that, on top of everything, he also lost one of his abilities. The guard swears he will kill that bastard while recalling our boy in that bizarre smile. At that moment, a man with crutches enters the room and sees that Ji-hyuk woke up. The ex-chief remarks that he came at a good time. Then Ji-hyuk announces that he is resigning from his post as head of security today, shocking his colleague. He says that the boy with glasses will be his replacement and orders him to follow to fix the mess in the plaza. With a hand on the new chief's shoulder, Ji-hyuk asks if he managed to capture the one responsible for the chaos, and the young man does not know what to answer. But when they arrive at the plaza, the man with glasses is speechless, and Ji-hyuk already imagines what happened with an angry expression. Back at the plaza, one of the guards reports that our boy passed them and escaped through the portal to the 7th floor. Meanwhile, our boy tests his new skill, Threat, which temporarily paralyzes opponents. With his new technique, he moves quickly and defeats several goblins in the blink of an eye. In a short time he has already defeated a ton of monsters, and the system announces that the mission has been completed. The boy smiles and says that the skills he took from the guard aren't bad since he cleared the floor in no time. He laments not having taken the kick or shield abilities but prepares to enter the portal to the 8th floor. However, before going, our boy pauses for a moment, hesitating to continue his path. Then our boy remembers that floors 7 through 9 are growth floors and realizes there must be more to do there. With a determined look, he decides to continue and advances to defeat more goblins on the same floor. Thus our boy continues his hunt, and the counter for goblins defeated rises steadily with his attacks. With an explosion, our boy keeps hunting and the goblin count reaches 34. After defeating 40 monsters, the boy stops, exhausted, leaning on his sword to catch his breath. Then the system rewards him with a starter kit, and he wonders what this new item could be. Suddenly, a small colorful capsule falls from the sky right in front of our boy, and he just stares at it. When the capsule lands on the ground, he picks it up, wondering what that small mysterious object is. The screen reveals that the kit increases his stats when hunting monsters on floors 7 through 9. And with a smile, he understands why this is a growth area and swallows the pill immediately. At that moment, the system confirms that the item is active, and a new mission to hunt 100 goblins appears on the screen. Our boy slaps his forehead upon seeing that the counter has reset and that he will have to hunt all the monsters again. But he smiles mischievously and says that he will become much stronger with this beginner kit, declaring that it's time to become a monster. It doesn't take long before we see a lone goblin running and screaming, with a look of desperation. Then we see the reason for the panic as our boy uses a fire explosion that completely consumes the monster. The kill count reaches 125, and he stops in the midst of the creature's bodies. His stats increase significantly, and the system notifies that he has reached the maximum limit of the kit. Our boy congratulates Deokshin for the good work, and his little frog croaks happily in response. He wanted to stop, but a new unique mission appears to defeat the boss of the 7th floor. Then our boy tries to use his power to see the reward, but the information remains hidden. With few options, our boy decides to look for the boss monster on his own. Sitting on a branch, he realizes that even his rank S power has limits and size. Then the young man deduces that since there are only goblins here, the boss must be one of them as well. He considers the possible candidates: a goblin shaman, a goblin champion, a hobgoblin, or a treasure goblin. Our boy discards some because the hobgoblin is weak, and the others lead hordes he hasn't seen. With a confident smile, our boy finally discovers who the true boss of the floor is. His conclusion is that it can only be the treasure goblin, seen spying from a cave. The system confirms his guess and reveals that the reward is the rare monster's bag. At that moment, the adventurer remembers that this type of goblin is cowardly but very greedy. While planning his strategy, he sees a butterfly and comes up with a brilliant idea for the hunt. Then he pokes the nose of his little frog Deokshin to prepare him for the mission. With a mischievous smile, the boy says that it's time for his loyal companion to finally shine. Around the floor, the sound of the goblin echoes while something shiny catches its attention. At that moment, the monster begins sniffing the air and senses the smell of something very valuable and shining coming from outside. From inside its cave, the creature smells a strong scent of treasure but also of blood. The goblin becomes scared and starts trembling, not knowing what to do in that dangerous situation. But its greed speaks louder, and it runs out of the cave in pursuit of the valuable treasure. Following the golden trail, the creature moves through the forest searching for the source of the glow. Suddenly, the monster finds the shiny object and celebrates, very happy with its luck. To its surprise, the treasure is a golden frog statue which is actually Deokshin in disguise. Deokshin croaks nervously while the hero watches him from a tree branch. The little frog maintains his shiny pose and seems to be sweating from all the effort. With a smile, the boy tells his companion to hold on just a little longer. Suddenly, the sound of rustling leaves catches the young man's attention in the tree. At that moment, the treasure goblin appears stealthily, and he confirms that the target has arrived. The creature then sees the shiny bait in the middle of the clearing and is shocked. Suddenly, the goblin's eyes glint with greed as the trap finally works. With a snap, the monster's body begins to transform and grow in size. It becomes an awakened, stronger version, and the system reveals its new powers. At that moment, our boy is surprised to see that the goblin can use a 4-star buff. But he smiles confidently because if everything goes as planned, victory will be easy. The enraged creature rushes at high speed to attack the golden frog bait. Then our boy throws a fire bomb that explodes right over the green monster. He shouts for Deokshin to deactivate the golden key, and the system confirms the action. The little amphibian escapes the explosion while shedding his golden skin. At that moment, the little frog jumps away, leaving the creature confused, not understanding what happened. The monster becomes furious, realizing it was tricked by the golden bait. Our boy then jumps from the tree and calls the name of his loyal battle companion. The little frog flies through the air and lands safely on a nearby rock to take cover. With a leap, the boy celebrates the good work and catches his little friend midair. But the goblin charges at high speed to attack the adventurer and his pet. Quickly, the young man opens his inventory and inserts the arcane gem. The creature throws a powerful punch, but the boy seems ready for the blow. He takes the impact of the attack and grits his teeth, enduring the pain. At that moment, the system announces that the monster's buff disappeared because the treasure was secured. The creature becomes confused and wonders what happened to its strength. Our hero seizes the opportunity and calls it pathetic while attacking with his sword. The The system announces the mission complete and rewards him with 3,000 points for being the first. Seeing the creature's body on the ground, the boy celebrates his victory with a smile. Soon, a message notifies that the monsters will remain hidden for 47 hours. The system shows the goblin's pouch, a rare subspace item that can only be opened by its owner. With a smile, he says the pouch is already incredible and grows curious about its contents. Upon opening the reward, the boy finds a skill book, a soul stone, and a piece of a key. He discovers that the buff die gives random effects and thinks it seems like a risk-free game of chance. The description of the soul stone is vague, and its power doesn't react to the mysterious item he holds. Not knowing what to do with it, the adventurer decides to store the stone and focus on the last item. The system reveals that it is a piece of a key for ruins hiding a great treasure. At that moment, our boy realizes he can obtain the other pieces on floors 8 and 9 by defeating the bosses. For now, he decides he needs a rest and lies on the grass with his companion. He opens the system screen and sees many angry reactions to his post about the white pill. The young man imagines that they are angry because they think the pill saved their lives, even though they lost their memories. But some comments agree with him and warn others not to take the dangerous item. He realizes that those who agree didn't take the pill and wonders if the bald man left any hints. Then he finds a hint from the bald man and remembers that he was the one who opened the portal on the 6th floor. The bald man talks about the beginner kit, and our boy is shocked by the information revealed. Then he notices that the bald man's hint is very vague, which is why no one believes him. With a snap of his fingers, he decides to handle the situation on his own. He posts a hint using the name Princessinia and thanks the bald man for his help. Our boy feels proud to have been mentioned and explains the details of the beginner kit. After resting, the young adventurer finally moves forward to the dangerous 8th floor. Upon arriving, he is surrounded by a horde of orcs, and his mission is to defeat 10 of them. With a confident smile, our boy greets the creatures and prepares for battle. In the blink of an eye, one of the orcs screams in pain as it is sliced by our boy. The monster is instantly defeated by the young man's fast and precise attack. Feeling even more stamina, he says he could defeat 100 orcs without even breaking a sweat. Suddenly, he stops and looks around, sensing a strange presence approaching. A giant, glowing orc appears in front of him with a menacing glare. The enormous creature roars and tries to grab the young adventurer with its huge hand. The boy and his little frog are frightened because something very powerful is coming toward them. The giant monster throws its glove at the boy's face with great force. However, the orc's gloves just fall onto his face, leaving our boy completely confused. On the ground, he sees the monster's glove and doesn't understand anything that just happened. Then the system announces that an orc warrior has challenged him to a duel, which was accepted instantly. With a stunned expression, our boy is speechless, not expecting such an honorable duel. The giant creature stares at him seriously and lets out a grunt, preparing for the fight. Completely startled, our boy cannot understand the situation or what the monster wants from him. Suddenly, all the other orcs form a circle to watch the confrontation about to begin. A hexagonal barrier forms around them, and the boy wonders if this is the orc championship. To his surprise, the monster begins flexing its muscles as if showing off to him. With a serious face, our boy raises his sword, still unable to believe that the opponent is actually posing right in front of him. Then he activates a running skill and charges full speed at the distracted orc. The creature becomes furious at being attacked mid-pose and roars angrily at the young man's audacity. With his sword, our boy takes advantage of the opportunity and strikes a precise blow to the giant monster's chest. The system announces that the warrior has died, and our boy wins the duel, earning 500 reward points. Satisfied, he comments that the fight was much easier than he had imagined at first. However, when looking at the creature's body, he notices something shining on its chest and becomes very curious. Without hesitation, the boy approaches and grabs the necklace with golden medals the opponent was wearing. Then the system reveals that they are the medals of the Molar tribe, a symbol for strong warriors. He thinks it might be just an ordinary item and considers selling it later at the shop for some money. Suddenly, the system notifies him that he has become the owner of the medal and can now participate in the Orc Championship. Shocked, the young man realizes he had stored the item in his bag, thinking it was worthless. Now warriors from all tribes are running toward him to meet the new fighter. Looking up, he sees a rain of orcs heading in his direction. At the impact, he braces himself as the creatures land heavily around him. Then a group of huge orcs positions themselves in front of our boy with intimidating glares. To his surprise, they start flexing their muscles and the system says they are excited. But our boy is completely speechless and wonders why they are staring at him in such a strange way. More monsters arrive, surrounding him from all sides, leaving him with no escape. One of the warriors raises his arm and begins flexing his muscles with an admiring look. Desperate, our boy realizes that the creatures keep coming endlessly and becomes terrified. In the blink of an eye, a crowd of orcs forms a tight circle around him. Against a bright background, one of the monsters shows off its strong arms and poses for him. Soon all the other warriors start striking the same pose while watching him closely. Embarrassed, our boy asks them to stop, unable to endure the bizarre situation any longer. Suddenly, the system shows that several warriors from different tribes have challenged him to a duel. He is buried under notifications, and the system asks if he accepts all 28 challenges at once. With a furious look, the boy shouts that he will fight and defeat them all at the same time. Without wasting time, he uses his smoke skill, leaving the opponents confused. Amid the smoke, one of the warriors has no idea where the fighter has gone. Suddenly, our boy appears behind a monster and strikes from the back with a quick blow. With a smile, he announces that he's right there and challenges the show-offs to come at him. Furious, the other orcs charge in a frenzied herd to attack the young man at once. At this moment, our boy faces the crowd of enemies fearlessly and prepares for the grand confrontation. With a confident smile, he calls the monsters to battle while readying his next skill. Then he activates his threat ability, and his eyes glow with a red, intimidating aura. The red aura envelopes all the warriors, paralyzing them with fear at that power. Seizing the opportunity, he uses his running skill and rolls a special die to gain a buff. His sword glows intensely as the magical die is thrown to activate the special buff. The die lands on number 4, granting him an area damage effect perfect for the situation. With the new power, he advances, cutting down multiple opponents at once with his swift strikes. After defeating all the enemies, our boy stands as the sole victor of the great battle. He defeated them all and earned an achievement worth 5,000 points, along with strength and agility stats from his kit. Our boy sighs in relief amid the defeated opponents after the great battle he fought. He checks the bag, and the system shows that he has collected all the medals needed for the challenge. Meanwhile, all the orcs outside the arena cheer in euphoria, and the system announces his victory in the Orc Championship. Then the system asks if he wants to challenge the Great Chief, leaving the young man surprised by the prompt. Our boy complains that he is exhausted, but the system warns him that he will lose the chance if he refuses the duel. A countdown begins, and he hurriedly accepts the challenge before time runs out. He is transported to the Warriors Plaza, where a giant orc sits on a massive throne. At that moment, the system reveals that he is Delkinos, the chief of the 8th floor, a monster with infinite stamina. The adventurer notices that the great chief is asleep and wonders if he is really unconscious. Hearing the snore, he confirms that the monster is asleep and decides to prepare to act. Seeing an opportunity, the boy charges full speed and readies a fire attack to defeat him. At that instant, our boy smiles and unleashes a massive fire explosion directly at the chief, who remains seated. With a confident smile, he and his sapling Deoction watch the smoke, wondering if the attack worked. Suddenly, his expression changes to pure shock as something unexpected happens in the smoke. As soon as the smoke clears, he sees that the chief is completely unharmed, without a single scratch, leaving our boy irritated by the outcome. With glowing eyes, the chief wakes, and our boy asks him if he is performing the invisible chair challenge. The creature rises from his pose and says that it was not an invisible chair. Then he stomps powerfully, making the ground shake with all his immense strength. With a serious expression, the adventurer prepares himself, as the opponent is finally going to attack. However, instead of attacking, the chief begins doing squats in front of the young man. Completely stunned, the boy and Deoction watch the creature, panting and proud. Then the chief glares at the young man with his arms crossed and a very intimidating look. But suddenly the giant monster turns its back, leaving our boy quite confused. Then he picks up a stone weight and says that today is leg day. With his absurd strength, the creature simply crushes the rock with one hand. Furious, the opponent throws the weight to the ground and complains that the boy ruined his exercise. At that moment he grabs a huge axe and says that our boy will pay for his attitude. The monster then shouts that he will pay with his life, and the system announces the start of the fight. With that, the system notifies that the chief's shout has temporarily paralyzed the young man. Gritting his teeth, the boy tries to move, but his body doesn't obey his commands. With great effort, he breaks free and comments that the enemy is stronger than he looks. Then our boy activates his running ability, and the chief is surprised by his speed. The giant creature remains still while our boy charges for a quick attack. In this way, our boy simply passes by him with his sword, making several cuts on the monster. While attacking with all his might, the young man wonders if his powerful strike will work. However, his attack is blocked and the force of the impact leaves our boy shocked. Before he realizes it, the chief has already lunged forward and attacks with his axe in a devastating blow, and he has to defend quickly. The force of the impact pushes the adventurer back, and he feels the pressure of the enemy's aura. He thinks that this 3-star monster cannot be compared to others he has faced. Then, with a roar, the creature spins its body and prepares another attack with its axe. The blow hits the ground squarely, raising a massive curtain of dust and debris. But our boy manages to dodge and prepares a firebomb to counterattack. Without hesitation, he unleashes his ability, which explodes into a huge fireball at the opponent. With a confident smile, the boy reveals that he used a rank B ability to attack. However, the chief advances into the flames and counters the explosion with his massive axe. The ground cracks from the force of the blow, and the smoke from the explosion begins to dissipate. At this moment, our boy is shocked and wonders how the enemy survived such a powerful attack. Then the system reveals that the chief grows stronger when gravely injured. With a powerful stomp, the creature shows that he is ready to continue the fight with full force. The young man realizes that the opponent's ability makes him stronger with every hit received, and the only thing he can do now is run. With a furious roar, the giant monster charges at our boy with a thirst for revenge. In this way he uses a powerful attack. The chief slams the ground and the young man throws himself to dodge the blow. Fallen to the ground, our boy stares at the giant monster, who prepares to attack again. Seeing that his hits aren't working, he activates the threat ability as a last resort. The monster seems to feel the effect but continues with its furious gaze, not retreating. Then the boy uses his smoke ability to hide and think of a new plan. In the middle of the smoke, the creature swings its axe in all directions trying to hit him. Furious, the opponent asks where he has hidden, and our boy is shocked by the enemy's resilience. He realizes that his strongest attacks only empower the enemy and doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, the system gives a hint, saying that the weak point of a bodybuilder is the back. With shining eyes, the adventurer understands that the chief's back is his weakness. Hidden, he thinks that this risky move could cost him his entire life in the fight. At that moment, his little frog encourages him, and the boy asks if he should use his special power now. A system window suddenly appears, showing a skill combination option. He realizes that he can create a new power by combining his two current abilities. A new ability appears, and the young man believes this is the chance he needed. At this moment, the boy smiles and wonders if this is the combination recommended by his special eye. Distracted by the window, he doesn't notice the giant chief sneaking up behind him. At that moment, the protagonist gets a huge scare and screams when he sees that the opponent was ready to attack. Wasting no time, the creature brings down its axe in a strike that cracks the entire ground. With a panicked expression, the young man activates his new ability at the very last possible second. The monster is surprised because its devastating attack didn't hit the target as expected. Then the adventurer moves behind the enemy, and the system announces that the combination worked. His new ability transforms him into smoke, making him immune to any enemy attack. With that, the chief attacks again with his axe, and the protagonist waits until the last second. With a confident smile, the protagonist once again uses his ability before the chief's attack can hit him. But at that moment, the monster is shocked because once again he didn't hit the target, wondering where the protagonist went. Suddenly, the protagonist appears behind the chief, smiling and ready to strike his back. He takes the opportunity and lands a precise stab on the chief's weak spot. The creature screams in pain and angrily asks what the adventurer is doing on its back. The system notifies that big muscles reduce mobility, and the opponent can't reach him. Confused, the chief tries to reach his back and wonders what is happening there. With a smile, the protagonist activates a brooch that doubles his stats for 10 minutes. Then he uses a special bracelet that increases his weight to give the enemy a real leg day. The boy starts punching the monster's head, shouting for him to straighten his back. With a furious roar, the system shows that the opponent's ability makes him stronger. The adventurer thinks the ability is ridiculous but says it made him come up with something new. Without hesitation, the young man plunges his hand deep into the giant enemy's back. With a wicked look, he wonders if his skill will save him from being roasted from the inside. Then he uses his fire bomb, and a massive explosion goes off inside the giant monster.